I never remember how to start these things. Hello, CTNE friends. We are here with your May member of the month. This is Miguel, a regular here in our 5:30 p.m. class, an absolute staple. Hello, Miguel.
Hey,
How are you? We were talking, and I recently took over the 5:30, and I think one of the first things that I remember is that you would beat me to fist bumping everyone. Right, like I end the class and it's like 3, 2, 1 time, and everyone's like breathing heavy and dying, and I'm going around and making the rounds and doing my high fives, and I look up and like Miguel has already peeled himself off the floor and is making the rounds to the class, and he's beating me to it. I was like, you're making me look bad, but it's like it's such a cool thing when we talk about humble, hungry, happy that you're still dying from just finishing the workout and you're still thinking about other people. It's super well deserved. Pumped that this is the direction we're going for May. Some people might not know you, especially if there are morning people, but tell me a little about yourself. Like, where do you come from? What do you do for work? And how did you find CTNE? And I'll pass my heavy Bob Barker microphone over to you.
Just pass the, how do you call it, baton or the baton? Well, first of all, you know how uncomfortable I feel with this, because I told you, like, when you mentioned, like, oh, is there any way that we can avoid this? I don't want to, I don't like to, but yeah. But here we are. And speaking about the fist bumping people, I don't know, I always like that part of sense of community and be like supporting everybody and just go and see like, hey, good job. It doesn't matter. Everybody has their own like limits and weights and scale and everything. But everybody, I think, that is pushing hard every time. And not only here, everywhere. That's what I always try to be like, hey, good job. It doesn't matter if you didn't run as fast or didn't lift that heavy, because I'm there a lot of the times, like not hitting 100%. And still, it's good when somebody comes and like, hey man, good job. Again, my name is Miguel. I've been living in Boston or in the Boston area since 2022, September 2022. So it's like, 2.5 years probably, I think. Not very good at math right now. Before that, I was living in Hershey, PA, working for the Hershey company. And before that, of course, you can notice on my accent, like, I was living in Guadalajara in Mexico. The reason I found like at that moment like CrossFit New England, right now like Come Train New England, it was because of my girlfriend, like Samantha. Like some of you might know her already from 4:30. She has a coaching background in CrossFit, so she knows way more than I know. She was very hardcore back in 2014, 2015. So when I moved to Boston, she was the first one that told me, like, you gotta try CrossFit New England. I say, what? She was, yeah, Ben Bergeron's gym. And I was like, who? And I apologize to everybody. I didn't know, because, I started doing CrossFit like 2020, right before COVID hit. And then I stopped doing CrossFit like until summer. So in reality, I started doing CrossFit like mid 2020. So for me, I didn't got all that background on like I was still able to see Matt Fraser, but I didn't saw like other athletes, right? So she comes from all that like old background, and she was like, oh my god, you gotta go at least give it a try. And then one day I decided to come here for it was just to drop in, right? And we were living in Newton Center at the moment, so it was like, oh my god, it's a way longer drive and all that, but I'd give it a try. I came one day and I was good because it was a big class. I liked the facilities right away, especially, I know this might sound dumb, but having parking, it's very important.
It's a big deal.
Coming here, I was like, oh my God, I automatically like it. When I decide to start coming here, being conscious that it will be like a longer drive, but pretty much like basically like a extra 15-20 minutes from what I was doing, like each way. But once I start coming here and I got the classes and I see the people and how competitive people is here in a good way, because I like that, like having competitiveness in a good way, not being like mean or anything, but that's key for me. Yeah. And everybody's pushing everybody, and there's like a big sense of community, which I used to have when I was in PA, and that's something that I miss at that point. But that's something that I found about here, so definitely something that I really appreciate about this gym for sure. And that's how I heard because of Samantha, and that's why I'm here. And that's actually tomorrow is going to be a year.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
Tomorrow is going to be, I start like May 1st, 2024. So it's going to be a year. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, this is well timed.
Yeah.
No, that's really cool. I didn't know that. We're filming this on the last day of April. So Samantha and Miguel and Anna and I have become friends over the last few months. And we were at brunch this past weekend, and I learned that Miguel is like an ultra marathoner, or was an ultra marathoner. I don't know. And then Anna is like running a 10K with her mom in a couple weeks, months, or whatever. And she put it in our little group chat, and Miguel's like, "Yeah, I'll do it," and it's just casually agreeing to do a 10K. So tell us a little bit about your athletic sport running background, because I thought that was super interesting.
Well, my background is in running, and I didn't know anything about running. The reason I started running is because I was not super overweight, but I was like definitely overweight of eating so many cookies and enjoying life and all that. So I knew that I needed to do something. And for me at that point was like, what can I do that I can do by myself and I don't have to, if I join a gym, like a regular gym, I've never been like a big fan of gyms, and I have nothing against that, but for me it doesn't work that way. I if I start doing the same like routine or repetitive routine, I get bored. So for me it's not very efficient. So I was like, what can I do in order to work out and at the same time just be like help my body? So I started running back in 2010, and I started running without even knowing, with basketball shoes, no running gear, nothing. I just started running, and at the beginning I couldn't even run like probably a little bit over half a mile, and I was like dying. In 2011, and right after like 3 or 4 months after, I got injured. So I got a plantar fasciitis, and I couldn't run for another 10 months. But then I went back like by the end of 2011, and that's it. Since then I started going like little by little, running by myself, start knowing more about running. I start with, I don't know, like 5Ks, 10Ks in Guadalajara, and one thing took to another, and I started doing like half marathons, and I got stuck with half marathons for a while, because I was focusing more on speed than endurance. And then when I came to the US, I got I don't know, something like the itch to do like a marathon, which at that point for me was like, oh my God, that's for me. It's like, I've never like 26.2 miles. That's a lot. I will never be able to do it. So I don't know, like something got into me, and I was like, okay, if I'm going to do this, I have to go for one of the majors, because why not? Just let's make it like worth it. So I was able to get into, with all the other half marathon timings and all that, I was able to get into Chicago. And I did Chicago in 2016. And I trained very hard for that one, like legit, with body and soul. And did a lot, everything that I needed to do except for nutrition. A terrible mistake, but I didn't know. And at that point was like only fun for me. I'm gonna run and I feel good and I keep running, and I got like I was a very like basic Garmin at that point. And I did Chicago and it was fine. I got 5 minutes off the time for Boston. I didn't qualify, but it was a very good experience. After that, one of my coworkers, we became great friends. He got to my desk and he was like, "Hey man, I heard that you run Boston. I've been a runner for a while, but I do trail running." And I was like, "What's that?" And I was like, "Well, run in the woods," and just like say, "Okay." In my head, it's like, yeah, it's the same. You go in the woods and it's like paved path, totally mistaken. And he was like, "Would you be interested in doing like an ultra marathon?" That was the first time that I heard the word ultra marathon. Like for me, it was like, what is that? And he was like, well, it's any distance that is over the marathon distance. So the shortest distance for an ultra marathon is 31 miler. So it's basically jumping from 26.2 to 31. And I was like, well, it's five extra miles. I didn't know at that point that it was like in the woods. When you have elevation, you have like you have to go up and down, and it's just different terrain and rocks, especially in Pennsylvania. Like the terrain is like very aggressive. But at that point I was like, no, I'm probably gonna stick with just running and pavement, whatever. He was like, okay, I'm gonna ask you later, like some other time. And then 2 weeks after, he came back and he was like, so do you thought about it? Would you like to do an ultra marathon with me? And I was like, when is it? And he was like, I don't know. It was like, I had like 4 months to train. But at that point, I was in a good shape, like with running. And he was like, yeah, let's do it. And I was like, really? That was easy. I said, yeah, let's do it. What do I need? He was like, well, you need, like, he gave me a bunch of things that I needed. And of course, training. I train mostly on a regular path for runners. I didn't know. I went to the woods. I will say the woods because it was basically I went to a regular trail for bikes and I run there, which is nothing. So the first encounter, the first experience with trail running was at the race. First time that I did it, of course, it was like again, it was a big learning for me. And since then, I've been doing a couple. Like I did that 31 miler, and then we went from that to a 52 miler, and then at some point we jumped into a 64 miler, which is a 100K, and we did a bunch of like back and forth between 31, 50, 64, and then we were doing that. And at some point he was like, hey, would you like to do like a bigger challenge? And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, he was like, well, there's a race, there's a bunch of races in the US, but there's this one in Utah, Zion, like a canyon, and there's a 100 miler. It's in, probably it was like in 8 months at that point, 8 to 10 months from the time that he was telling me. I said, well, think about it. And those are type of things that are like, yeah, you think about it, but you also don't have to think about it that much, because if you're not thinking about it, then you get nervous and there's like, I can, blah, blah. And of course, I never, first of all, I would never thought that I would be able to run a marathon. And then the way that and the reason that I did it is to push my limits and see where I can get and what I'm capable of. And it's a lot of like mental, I mean, yeah, of course, it's a lot of muscle and strength, physical capacity, but it's a lot of like mental strength. So for me, it was like, okay, let's see. And if I can do it, I can do it. But I was like, I'm gonna train hard. So, like, not finishing is definitely not an option. So I have to. And we trained hard for 6 months, like legit, 6 months. Like with, of course, needless to say that I was single at that point, of course, because I was legit. My weeks and weekends were like nothing but training for that. And we did it. We did in 2019. We ran a bunch of races. And we did it, and it was a great experience. I haven't done anything like that since then, and I have the itch to go back into the woods. Like probably this year I'm gonna do it. I did the last ultra marathon that I did was 2023. It was a 52 miler, and I was trying to combine it with CrossFit, and I think I overtrained. I think it's possible if you combine good workouts with running, because I will say that it's definitely a good complement. But still, like when I was able to do it, to finish, that was 2023, a 52 miler in New York State. And since then I've been doing CrossFit, like I wouldn't say non-stop, because I was like stopping like this time because I really like this gym and the classes and the programming. This is the first time that I've been doing like a year non-stop. And that is very cool. Actually, I like it a lot, and it has to do a lot with the community, a lot with the people pushing, with the right mentality as well. Because you can tell when you come here and you see, I will say, like always leading by the example, like what needs to be done in the gym. And for me, that's very important. So yeah, and if I decide to go back into the woods, I will definitely have some and seek for some advice from you guys, because I think it will be like take advantage of the knowledge that you have and then try to maximize what I can do. Yeah. Might be doable, might not, I don't know, but hey,
find out.
Yeah, exactly. Until we try, we can find out.
I think it's a really cool segue talking about how it's like the community experience here and the group of people you have around you. If there was somebody that you met that was hesitant to join the gym or join group classes, is there like one nugget of advice that you would want to give that person?
Yeah, I will definitely say, like, don't hesitate to come. Don't think about it. Just come. And something good about CrossFit, or at this point, like, even though like ComTrain is not affiliated anymore, it doesn't matter. Like, anybody can do it. So just come here, do it on your own pace and your own weight, and that's it. One step at a time, and it takes time. That's the only thing. You have to be patient. But if you are patient and you put the work every day, or at least 5 days a week or 4 days a week, whenever time you can do it, just come and do it. Don't be shy. Don't be ashamed, especially because a lot of times we come and we see other people lifting super heavy, and we are like, oh, no, I can't. No, everybody has their own pace, and that's it. Just important thing. Just show up and do it. That's the most important thing.
Well, all right, my friend. Thank you so much for taking the time to sit. We were just talking about how cool these chairs are, and like the sun's starting to set. Like we're post workout, well deserved. Pumped to have you as the member of the month. If you guys see Miguel around the gym, give him a fist bump, give him a high five. If he doesn't already beat you to it, he's probably already walking up to you to give you one anyway. Congratulations, and it's gonna be a good month.
Thank you, man.
All right, buddy.
Appreciate
Yeah.
it. Thank you.
Easy.
Thank you so much.
Painless.
That was good.